Is OBJ coming back to the Giants? Welcome to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna, also known as New York Giants fangirl. And yes, we have to talk about the OBJ thing. You know, every year, I think to myself, I'm going to enjoy this offseason and there's not going to be any drama. And like, we don't have to worry about the OBJ thing. And every single year, I am proven wrong. This year, didn't even cross my mind. I was like, yeah, whatever. Maybe he'll re-sign with the Dolphins. Maybe he'll retire. I'm not even worried about it. It was not even a topic among Giants fans until now. And it's back because it's always back. Here's what happened. This is what it started with, okay? OBJ posts this photo on Instagram. And for those of you who are listening, it's a photo of him and his son outside of MetLife Stadium. Also, I need you guys to peep the watch if you're watching. That is a Richard Mille, which is wildly expensive. Like, I think it retails for hundreds of thousands of dollars. So anyway, for my watch people, you know. But anyway, so this is the caption. Man, your daddy did some crazy shit here. We changed the game and inspired a generation who came before us. We still got more to do. I'm loving every second I get with you, and I can't wait to see what you do in the world. Your turn, twin. Anyway, so, you know, he's reminiscing, whatever, post some photos of him and his son. Cute. Malik Neighbors comments, we still got work to do. Brian Burns comments, the eyes emoji. Then, oh, I'm not done. Then Abdul Carter posts a screenshot of on his stories, and it's of Malik Neighbors' comment on the photo, and Abdul Carter writes, it's time. It's time. So now you have 3 Giants players who commented on the photo, who are invested and potentially think that OBJ should be coming back to the Giants. So you guys tell me, what do you think about it? You know what's funny is people are really on opposite ends of the spectrum here. They're either like, hell no, get that guy away from me. I'm so over him. Or they're like, fuck yeah, bring back OBJ. This offense would be lit. I actually am more towards the hell yeah, this would be elite. And the reason that, here is my opinion on this. Give him a 1-year vet minimum deal. I really believe that OBJ is one of those people who's, as he's gotten older, as he's matured, he now has a kid. I really think that he's learned a lot from what went wrong in the past. I think going to Cleveland probably humbled him already. I think the fact that, yes, he won a Super Bowl, his career was not really what I think he thought it was going to be, especially after the success that he had with the Giants. Like, I think that his thought process was, you know, New York is it, like, we're going to kill it. And maybe they could have, maybe they couldn't have, but we'll never know. Just like we'll never know if the Giants would have repeated if Plaxico didn't shoot himself. So I think that OBJ's learned a lot. And I think that he actually would be a good mentor for some of these young guys. I think that he would have the opportunity to sit down with Jalen Hyatt. And maybe this is wishful thinking, but I think he could really say to him, like, listen, New York is the place to be. Like, I went through the depths of hell in Cleveland, Ohio. No offense to Cleveland. It will not ever be remotely close to what New York is. Everyone knows that. You know, New York, you have all these amazing opportunities to be in commercials and work with brands and obviously make a lot of money outside of football and have a life and career outside of football, because we all know that the NFL is short for not for long. That's what a lot of players say. So I think he's really learned from that. And I think that he could be a good mentor to someone like Jalen Hyatt and say, listen, buddy, don't screw it up. Like, whatever you need from me, I'm here. I wish that I had done things differently throughout my tenure there. And, you know, I just think that he really has been humbled. Now, I don't know if that would help Jalen Hyatt or hurt him, but I do think that it could really be fun. Like, think about OBJ and Malik Neighbors and Russell Wilson, who throws a hell of a deep ball. Like, that doesn't excite you a little bit? I don't know. It does to me. And I know OBJ and Russell Wilson are not at the height of their careers where they were when we all loved watching them play football, but I just think that it's an opportunity for both of them to really revive their careers, go out on a high note. I think that OBJ, if he took this 1-year deal with the Giants, I think that would be it for him. And I think he would retire, and I think he would be thrilled. And, you know, he's talked a lot about wanting to come back to the Giants. I think he could say, if I retired a Giant, which is what I really wanted. You know, he met with this regime. They know him. They like him, supposedly. Their meeting went well with him last year. I don't know. I just think it could be a possibility. I think the Giants should explore it. I think the fact that outside of the 3 starting wide receivers, they didn't upgrade the wide receiver room at all. So there is an opportunity to bring in another veteran. Like they brought in Gabe Davis and decided not to sign him. You look at the running backs, they only brought in Scadaboo. You look at the tight ends, they drafted a 7th round pick. They didn't make a ton of upgrades on offense. The most important one, though, they did upgrade, which is the quarterback. So I just think there's a possibility for him that if he came here and if they gave him a 1-year deal, I think it could work out. And I think it would be fun, at the very least, it would sell jerseys and get fans in the stands. So, I just think, could you imagine having 2 LSU absolute freak athlete stud wide receivers? That wouldn't get you excited about Sundays? I don't know. I would be thrilled. I think the Giants should at the very least consider it. Bring him in for a meeting, talk through it, make sure that Jalen Hyatt's not going to go cry himself to sleep if they sign him. I don't know. I like Jalen Hyatt. I've always liked him. I want him to do well. I just am unsure if bringing in someone who would be considered more competition would have him be like, oh, they don't value me and they don't care about me. So I'm not going to try that hard. Or if he's going to be like, bring it on, bitch. I could learn a lot from this guy. I don't know. I hope it's the latter. But anyway, I think the Giants should consider it. There were 2 other things that I wanted to talk about today. Speaking of the running backs and wide receivers, because they both were on the Giants Huddle podcast with John Schmelk and talked a little bit about, the running back rooms of the quarterbacks and the whole thing. So let's start with the running backs. You guys know I love Turbo. He was the first one on. He said that last year was mostly about keeping his head above water, learning the offense, that this year he feels more confident and he can more quickly and more easily read defenses. So he's thrilled about that. He was asked, if he wants to be more involved with special teams because he was a little bit last year. And he said, absolutely. He really wants to increase his special teams play. And we know the Giants have had some special teams issues. So I'm on board with this. He said he wants to be both in the return game and coverage. And then he was asked about, that John Schmelk has witnessed a lot during practice that the running backs have been all over the field. They've been used as pass catchers, wheel routes, post routes, all over the place. So Turbo's response was, he loves it. He said he loves the versatility. He obviously is very fast. He ran I'm pretty sure it was a 4.40. So the guy's fast as hell. The Giants need to take advantage of that. And if they can do that, whether it's on special teams or on a slant, on something like that, then they have to get him more involved. So anyway, he said he has speed, and that's one thing that you can't really teach, and that he, wants to be used in all aspects, whatever way that he can help the Giants make plays and win. He said that he wants to be where he's supposed to be and make the plays when the ball comes his way. This was a common theme throughout the running backs and wide receivers, that the biggest thing that they all said was that there needs to be trust between the wide receivers, running backs, and the quarterback. They need to have that relationship where they trust in each other and they trust in the timing. And the quarterback is going to know that what the wide receivers and running backs are going to be in the spot that they're supposed to be at the right time. And the running backs and the wide receivers are going to be there and trust that the quarterback's going to throw it to them so they can make the play. They just have to get the ball in their hands and they're going to make the play. So I'm excited about that. He said that the biggest thing he's focused on improving this year is his pass protection. He said that he's actually bigger than people think he is, and he thinks that he can use that to advantage from a pass pro standpoint. He said the running back room is great and collaborative. He loves it that when they're going through the film, they all talk about ways that they could improve. And that his real goal is just to help the team win. Singletary said he also loves the running back room. He said that it's a long season, and the fact that they have so much talent in the running back room is so important. He loves the fact that there's not only going to be one player who gets 90% of the reps. It's good for their body, it's good for the team, and it's good for, the offense to know that they have different guys that they can rely on and use in different ways. He said even though they are similar and they have similar capabilities and talents and things like that, they all offer something different. And I think that is awesome for this offense. He was asked about Tyrone Tracy. He said his pass pro and his patience really improved throughout the year. That's one thing that he noticed from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. He said he also grew in the area of seeing and setting up blocks. He was asked about, what he thinks the running backs specifically were good at last year. And he said that he thinks they were best at a duo or a gap scheme inside zones, and that he gave credit to the offensive line and said they did a good job of blocking for them. He also said the fact that it's the same offensive line this year as it was last year, he thinks is going to be really important for the offense as a whole, but specifically for the running backs because of continuity, that they get that opportunity to really gel and respect each other and protect each other. And he said that those things are all really important to having a successful offense. He was asked about Cameron Scadaboo, and he said he's cool. He brings good energy. Singletary said that he's very much a vibes guy and that you don't want anyone in the locker room or on the team who is going to be a vampire and suck good energy out. And he said Cam Scadaboo is the opposite of that. He's always bringing good energy. So I thought that was interesting. He also said that, the fact that they have 4 running backs, that competition is really good for the team. It's good for everyone. The best player gets the most amount of reps, and his goal is just to be better this year than he was last year. They talked to Cameron Scadaboo, said that he's a very energetic and emotional player. And one of the things that he learned in college was to control that, not get too high and not get too low based on whether things are going good or bad. And we've heard Brian Daboll say this a lot, that after they come off a win, are you excited, whatever? And he's like, yes, but it's a week-to-week league. And just because we won this week doesn't mean we're going to win next week. He tries to keep it even keeled, even when he's flipping out on the sidelines, which he has been better about. I will say that. He also said that he takes a blue-collar approach because nothing has been handed to him, and he has to work for everything that he's gotten so far, and he will continue to do that. This is wild. Okay, so after he got drafted, his mom said that when he was a kid, he used to put a helmet on and run into telephone poles, which is literally insane. Then he also said during this interview that he was beaten up by his brother when he was a kid, which, like, I have brothers. They also beat me up. And he also said that his dad used to spank him, which, look, I mean, this kid is a hell of a lot younger than I am, and probably a lot of us who listen and watch the Giants. So I thought that was wild that people are still spanking these days, but I don't have kids, so what do I know? But anyway, so that's why he plays so physical and why he is such a tough player, because he obviously has learned to be tough throughout his young life. He was asked about, why he thinks his contact balance is so good and why that's such a benefit to his game. And he said that, one thing that he learned over time was that if you go head on, obviously you're going to have a higher chance of injury, more chance of losing the ball, etc. That he now tries to go towards the outside when he's hitting players and trying to run through holes, and said that has been really beneficial and that has improved his contact balance. It's also improved with ball protection. And what was the other thing he said? It's been good for helping him at breaking tackles. So I'm really excited to see him play this year. He said he's also been breaking tackles since he was 7 years old. That's when he first started playing football. So he's been at it a long time. He also said the fact that he didn't grow to be very tall. He's like, I'm not 6 foot tall. I think he might've said I'm not 6'4", but he's like, so obviously I'm a little lower to the ground. So, it's easier for me to have a better contact balance and be able to maintain those type of fits. Lastly, he was asked about whether or not he thinks he's going to be good to go. He's been dealing with some sort of injury, which Daboll has been very hush-hush about, like he always is. Said that he definitely expects to be good to go and ready for training camp when it comes around the end of July. I cannot wait to see him in pads. Lastly, for the running backs was Tyrone Tracy. He said he loves the running back room. He said they have a lot of characters, myself included. He called Singletary an old head and said, don't tell him I told you that. It's a schmelk, which I thought was great. He said that, he means that in the way of he's like the oldest out of the running backs and obviously has a lot of experience in the league and he can teach them a lot. He said what he loves about the group is that they're all focused on one goal. Even though they have similar styles, they play very differently. He said that his super strengths are making people miss, catching the ball down the field, running around players, and that he's not trying to do what other people do. He mentioned Scadaboo and said that he's good at powering through everything. That's a super strength of his game, but that's not my strength in my game, and I don't try to emulate that. I stick to what I'm good at and focus on being the best that I can be at that. He also said that, when he gets playing time, because obviously there's going to be a big rotation likely with the running backs this year, that he just wants to make plays. He wants to earn more playing time and really take advantage of the fact that when he has the ball in his hands, he has the opportunity to make a play. You don't get what you don't earn. Lastly, he said he wants to improve in all areas on the field. He wants to improve his pre and post snap vision. He said, last year, I thought I was more reactionary, and I feel like this year I need to be more proactive. And that's something that he's focused on improving. And then also wants to improve the pass pro. Said he's working on technique because last year he felt like he was in the right spot at the right time. It was just his technique that needed to be improved so he can get better at pass pro. He also said that Scattaboo has a lot of crazy in him, but he's a great player and he loves football. So I think it's a consensus among all of the players, especially the running backs, that Scattaboo is insane, but the good type of insane. That's the type of insane that you want on your team. Let's move over to the wide receivers. Speaking of Jalen Hyatt, because he spoke to Schmelk on the pod, said that on Russell Wilson, he's a true pro. It's been great building a relationship with him. He even went out to San Diego to practice with him basically right after Russell Wilson signed. He said as soon as he signed, he got a call from a random number. And he's like, I just happened to answer the phone. And he was like, yo, it's Russell Wilson. Let's go. And he said after that, you know, he went to San Diego. They had these private workouts and whatnot. And he said it's been really great and really beneficial. He said he's learned a lot from Russ and that he also has helped change his mentality, how I think when I step onto the field. Said it's all about timing and trust. It's a really important relationship between the quarterbacks and the wide receivers that they both trust in each other and the timing. He said one of his goals is consistency, being more disciplined and making plays when the ball came his way. He thinks he's going to get more opportunities to do that this year. And he was asked, you know, if him putting on weight had anything to do with that Darius Slayton was joking around and said he must have put on like 20 pounds. He's put on a lot more weight compared to last year. And Hyatt said that he played around 170, 171 last year. Now he's at 194, 195. So he put on 23 pounds, which is a lot. I mean, he looks like he bulked up. He said verbatim, that's what darkness does to you. It changes you. So I know that Jalen Hyatt has taken a lot of beef, and I, like I said, have been on his side throughout this. Obviously, have criticized him for doing stupid things, but I do think that he loves football. He wants to play football, and I think that he wants an opportunity to prove that he's a good football player. And I hope he gets that this year. I think similarly to like what I said about OBJ is, you know, you have to go through adversity to learn how to A, get through it, but B, to also figure out like how to get past that and move on to the next and not make the same mistakes over and over again. You're always going to have adversity in your life, but you have to figure out how to not have the same mistakes happen over and over again. And I just feel like, I don't know, maybe OBJ could like teach him how to get through it. It sounds like he did. But anyway, I think the point that I'm getting at is I think the fact that he said, you know, darkness does that to you, it changes you. I think that he has learned his lesson. I hope. Let's see. He said that he really wanted to play faster, bigger, and stronger through contact, something he needed to improve on from last year. And he said that his speed hasn't changed at all, but he is learning how to play now at this heavier weight. He said he's been looking forward to training camp since week 18 ended. He can't wait to get back on the field, and he loves camp. He said he's comfortable in the slot and on the outside, and that he was moved around a lot throughout high school and college. And he said that he really wants to do that again this year. And that's something that they have been doing throughout OTAs and mini camp so far. So I'm curious if we see more of that throughout training camp. And I know that's been a lot of our complaints. I think, you know, Malik Neighbors is a stud. They could do anything with him. But when you have guys who have the speed like Turbo, Leak, and Jalen Hyatt, throw them a slant and let them take off. Like, I want to see that from him this year. So anyway, I hope that. Also, did Jalen Hyatt take a shot at Daniel Jones with us? He was asked about Russell Wilson's deep ball, what makes it different? And verbatim, he said, he actually throws it. Damn, son. Anyway, that was interesting. He's not wrong, though. You know? Anyway, let's move on to Amir Smith-Marset, who was the next wide receiver to talk to Schmelk. He said, this is the first time, I did not realize this about Smith-Marset. This is the first time that he has been on a team for a second year. He said every single other team he's been on, they have only been on 1 year deals. So he feels like he has a huge advantage this year because it's the second year in the system, in the offense, with Dable, with the same coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. And he said that that's really going to help him out. He said, he really wants to be used more as a wide receiver. He said he thinks that he can maximize his reps by getting the most amount of yards. He said he had a couple games where he only touched the ball 2 or 3 times and had a 100-yard game. So he said, I'm really efficient when I get the ball, and I'm explosive. So I want this offense. I want the coaching staff to take advantage of that. So let's see if they do put their players in a position to succeed. Lastly, he was talking about special teams, and he said that, the biggest thing as a punt or a kickoff returner is that you just have to be fearless. And he likes all of the kickoff changes. He said that he thinks it's going to make it easier for the return guys this year. He also said he thinks that there will be more returns for touchdowns. I hope that some of them are from him. And that he said that one of the things that he's good at is finding holes and also making holes. So I'm excited to see more from him this year. I think he was great on special teams last year, and I think we saw the explosiveness and the speed that he has on special teams. Let's see it in the offense. Utilize him. I think he's going to be one of the wide receivers who definitely makes this roster. He's going to be, I think, if Hyatt's number 4, he's number 5. And then I think there's 1 or 2 spots that are really up for grabs out of the other wide receivers that are on the roster right now. Lastly, Wan'Dale Robinson said it's great to have some consistency back there. He's expecting to have that with Russell as the quarterback. That the thing that he really wants to do is continue to create explosive plays in run and pass games. He said he loves being moved around just like Jalen Hyatt did, because similarly, Schmelk said the same thing. I've seen you all over the field. I've seen you in the slot, on the outside, catching deep balls, running slants, end arounds, whatever it is that Wan'Dale has been doing all of that throughout OTAs and minicamp. And Wan'Dale said he loves it. He said, look, I just want to get out on the field and I want to make plays. Put me anywhere. When I get the ball in my hands, I will make plays. He said he's very versatile and he just wants to be a valuable target for the quarterbacks. Russ told him and all the other wide receivers that he's going to throw it up there. He's going to trust the wide receivers are in the right place at the right time. And, he's going to trust that the wide receivers are going to make a play. Wan'Dale said, he was asked about the deep ball. He said that the deep ball just drops in the bucket every time. Said Russ is good as noticing their speed. He hasn't had to slow down or stop to catch the ball at all yet. Also shots at Daniel Jones? Maybe. That's something that I know a lot of us have noticed and complained about, is that the deep balls are underthrown, overthrown. I mean, if you go back and watch Wan'Dale snaps, there are so many balls that are thrown at his ankles, 10 feet above his head. You can't expect someone who's 5'9" to make those plays. Maybe he's 5'10". You need to be accurate with the ball. And that's one thing that Russell Wilson has always been really good at. And I expect that alone is going to help all of the wide receivers. And especially when you talk about the deep ball, right? We've seen it a lot with Darius Slayton too, the way that he's had to adjust his body and he's had to slow down or speed up because it's never been in the right place. Russell Wilson is really good at getting the ball in the right place. And when you have a wide receiver like Wan'Dale who's talking about that after only OTAs and minicamp, listen, I'm trying not to get too excited, but it's a little hard not to, okay? Lastly, he said it's nice to have a veteran back there who's going to do exactly what he needs to do to make plays, and he's going to tell the wide receivers what they need to do. Lastly, he said that his goal is to open up the down the field plays, that he wants to be used in all areas on the field. So I hope that we see that from Wan'Dale. I hope that we see that from this coaching staff. This is something that I complained about with Shane Bowen, like the rest of you, is that you have to put your players in a position to succeed. And when you have players who are talented and you know that they're good at certain things, let them do that. Let them do the things that they're good at. So that's one thing that I really want to see this coaching staff as a whole do this fall. So anyway, training camp dates have been announced. They start on July 23rd and it ends 2 weeks later. And then they also have one more practice after that, the joint practice with the Jets on August 13th that is open to the public. So I will post when that gets closer. So make sure you're following me on Instagram. I always post everything on my stories. If you want to go to training camp, it is free, but you must reserve a ticket. The tickets go on sale, I think it's July 11th. So again, I will keep you posted, and I have some guests coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned.